The Dunu Vulkan 2. Let's talk about it. Now, this is a 2 dynamic driver 6BA IEM that costs around $360 or around $330 with a launch special discount code that you can get. This was sent out to me by Dunu Direct. Huge shout out to them for sending it out to me. Let's start by talking about the build quality of this lovely IEM. The design of the shell is extremely nice, not even at this price, but just at any price. It fits in my ear really well. It has a flat 2-pin cable connector, metal nozzle contoured to fit in my ear well. I like that it has kind of like that anti-tragus catch on the left here, and it's just an all-around really good shell with no faults. I think they've done a great job with it. I like the faceplate, the nozzle. Really everything about this shell is all around really solid. It has like a semi-open back nature to it, but I don't really notice it. But all around, just solid shell, no faults. The case is similar to what they used in the original Dunu Vulkan, a little bit kind of like the Brain Dance, but it's in green rather than white. I dig this case. It's a nice pocketable case. Dunu does accessories right. They have a 6.3, they have a 3.5 millimeter connector, a cleaning brush, IEM booties, 2 sets of tips, and nice IEM cases that shut. The cable itself is also really nice. You have kind of a right little flat pin cable connector to dictate that it's the right IEM shell. It also has a little R for right on the shell itself. It has a nice chin slider. I really like it. No fault with it. Stays in place. The cable feels really supple in hand. It's just a really good cable. It has a screw lock termination, so these are pretty easy to change out. You can do it in just a few seconds if you need to, which I think is a fantastic. You can actually get this with your USB-C. Now let's talk sound quality overall. The original Dune Vulkan was a little bit brittle to me, and I feel like this is kind of an improvement on that IEM. This is a nice IEM, and I think it does a lot of great things. Some things that maybe not as well, but I really like the appearance of it. I really like the overall sonic quality of it. I think the tune of it allows for really great detail, and it has really nice mid-range and sufficient bass for me not to completely hate it. It does a lot well, but it does feel slightly energetic in the treble sense. It is a tonality meant to extrapolate details to people and be almost like a treble focus set, but it does have enough bass to feel rich and supported. So while it's not the full sound that I might want from it, I do feel this tonality and sonic signature really warrants a look at for people who are in this price range for an IEM. All right, let's look at the graph. You'll notice that it doesn't have a lot of this mid-bass punch. There's so that's kind of the fault of it, but the upper mid-range, the presence region, the mid-treble, it's all really well done and really tactful, and I think a lot of people are really going to like it, but it doesn't represent there's certain things about it that I wish could be different. Like right here, we're showing what like 80 ohms looks like. And so you can see that it does raise a little bit more bass, and it does kind of add some things up, and it's a little bit better for presentation, and it does some interesting things. But when you look at the Dunu Brain Dance, let's see if we have it right here. Here's the Dunu Brain Dance with 300 ohms, and it adds a ton more bass to that presentation. Like if you see the normal Dunu Brain Dance, we'll put that there. And you can just notice that like it adds a ton of bass to it, and so it feels like that the Vulkan doesn't have as much impedance sensitivity, so it doesn't really change as much with the impedance. And so for me, that was kind of one of the major wins for the Dunu DK 3001, aka Brain Dance, and that because you're able to add this impedance adapter like this green line. Let me get rid of some of these other ones because it's a little bit much right now. But what I'm trying to say is that what I wish you could do is have like a switch or an impedance adapter where this lower mid range could kind of pop out and all of a sudden have a nice bass shelf, and that would be a really nice thing to do. Let's look at a few of Dunu's IEMs. Like here's the Brain Dance just versus the Vulcan. You'll notice that the Brain Dance has a little bit more bass. I think it's a little bit more satisfying, but it's not by much. The Vulcan to me has a better mid range, but the Dunu Brain Dance has a little bit more detail, presence, and air, but it can be a little bit much. The Vulcan 2 comes across a little bit more natural to my take. As far as other IEMs in this price range, I have a lot other from Dunu that are graphed. The main one I wanted to show you really is like, say, the Moondrop Meteor stock. And you'll notice that like a lot of the problems with the Moondrop Meteor is that for its price, it had kind of a strange fit. The fit in the Dunu Vulcan 2 is really nice, and the build quality and just appearance of it's really great. But like the thing about the Meteor is that it had nice mids, maybe a little bit shouty in the middle, a little bit presence focused. But I think the big thing about the Vulcan is that it just kind of lacks a little bit of bass. So if you tried something like the Meteor and you're like, man, I wish I had more bass, it could be one of the faults of this IEM for you, is that it just doesn't have that bass is not quite there, but its mid-range tonality and presence region I feel is basically the same level as the Meteor, and it's just all around, I feel it's like a nice presentation. It sounds really good, and it comes in at a really strong price. As far as other IEMs at this price, like for me, the Punch Audio Marlito, I would love if, like I said, I would love if Dunu would able to do something with like either a rumble switch, kind of like on the new Audio Mark IV, and just be able to add some bass. You could have two tonalities, or maybe do that with an impedance adapter, or maybe another dip switch setting of some kind. But I think like this level of bass to me feels like a lot to some people, but I think it's a pretty reasonable take. And like for me, I would go with the Marlito a little bit more, just because it has that little bit of extra warmth. Although the Vulcan 2 is a nice presentation, but it can come across slightly brittle. But I do feel it's a tactful, well done, like end game style set for a reasonable price and great build quality. Another thing to show you, like just a warm set, like this is the Symphonium Giant. You'll notice that the Giant just has a ton of warmth through here. For me, my tolerance for warmth is pretty good, and I just kind of wanted to show you that. But again, the Giant kind of lacked a little bit in the presence region and mid-treble region, but it's overall pretty good. Again, this presence and region of the Dunu Vulcan 2 is just so nice that it kind of makes up for that lack of thunderous bass, and it's really not bad. It's good. It's just slightly lean, and it's slightly bright leaning, and that's kind of something I wanted to note and just show the differences between these, just to kind of show you what a warm set versus like a more neutral set would look like. For me, a set that I think is about on par. Now the treble and the detail level of Dunu Vulcan 2 is better. I feel like the Astral has kind of an exciting tonality with a lot more bass. It does have kind of this spiky upper, like high upper treble, which is something I think you could be concerned about. But I think you might like the Astral a lot. I think it's a really good set. If you're looking for a more balanced tonality, you can get that with the Astral, which I think is a solid price. All things considering, if you're looking at something balanced. A lot of people really like the Moondrop Dusk, and you'll notice that the Dusk has kind of that fixed mid-range or bass, and this region is kind of reason I wanted to show you so many IMs in this region, is that that's kind of the fault to me with the Dunu Vulcan, but overall it's a solid approach. You'll notice it has nice mids and presence overall. If I were to recommend a set, like if you're going to go up and really get something with that kind of fixes the treble on, say something like the Kiwi Ears Astral, and get something that really has nice treble and that nice bass, the Zensmaker Top Pro to me does a really good job at striking balance between that. Again, you'll see this, the Maker Top Pro does have a little bit of warmth through here, and you'll notice that on other people's graphs, and as well it kind of leans slightly down. It's just something to note and to point out. All right, let's rank this guy up. I mean, as far as the Dunu Vulcan 2, I think it's a really solid set. Like personally, I think the Marlito is just a slight notch above, and they both have the same rating. I might fix that with an update to my ranking list later this year, but you'll notice that it is a little bit of a better set for my preferences, but I think the overall quality to the Dunu Vulcan 2 is really nice. The build quality and comfort to the Dunu Vulcan 2 is exceptional. It just lacks a little bit of that base, but it's not bad. It's not completely anemic. It's just not exactly what I would want. The mids and the treble and the overall quality to the sound, I feel makes up for it, and it really makes it like an end game style set for people, and it really does some special things despite not being, at least in my opinion, perfect. As far as how does it rank at the price, and if you look at the $300 to $400 range, I don't really feel there's like a hyper balanced set at this price. Like the Arcanus is more of a vocal forward set. The Volume S is like a super low bass, slightly warm set with great upper mids. And this set is like a set that is kind of a little bit like the Volume S in a certain extent, but it has like a different kind of style with like kind of a leaned out warmth section. So it's a different approach to everything, and it's just something to kind of note that there's like a lot of different tonalities to look at. And some people might like something like the Kiwi Ears Astral or even the Afu 7 or even the Odyssey better for a cheaper price, but the Vulcan 2 really has a great build quality and great packaging for a reasonable price, which makes it a really interesting IEM at its price. Okay, let's look at the Dunu IEMs we have here. I think the Vulcan, to me, like, it's one of their better sets. Like, I didn't really like the Mirai. It came across bright in my ear. But for me, it's one of their better sets that they've done. I really enjoy a lot of things about this set, despite it not being perfect, and I could easily daily drive this set. The Glacier, to me, would be a more fun set and a better set overall. The Brain Dance, if you put on the impedance adapter, to me it becomes a lot better set, and it really becomes one of the better value IEMs out there. If you're really looking at that style set, it's really quite an impressive set for what it is. But for me, like, if I had to trade blows and what exactly they do, I would go with the Vulcan 2 because it's cheaper, and I think its treble, like its upper treble, is a little bit less tingly and sparkly, and it's just a little bit more subdued and a little bit more in my wheelhouse than the Brain Dance, which feels a little bit cartoony and almost exaggerated, like a little bit splashy, and that's kind of my feeling on that. The hobby's a funny thing. You either looking for a one and done style set, or you're looking for a few IEMs that do a certain thing. This is kind of one of those, like, maybe not one and done sets to me, but it really represents something interesting. It has good mids, good, like, decent bass, and really great upper mids and treble. And so it becomes one of those sets that, with its build quality as a whole package, it becomes really enticing. Is this something that you need in your library? Maybe. I really like it, and I've really been enamored with this set, and have really enjoyed using it those last few days because it's so comfortable, so beautiful, and so simple. I mean, what would I do? I definitely would add a rumble switch or somehow a way to maybe have this tonality and something else, maybe an impedance adapter, maybe even just different tonality. I'd maybe even have like a pure black shelled IEM, like a black themed IEM, or something like that. I think there's a lot you could do with this IEM to maybe switch it up, but as it currently is, I think it gets a pretty good recommendation for people who are not looking for a bass set. Like, this is not for bass heads, but for people who want a mids, like almost like a studio monitor style IEM. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
And I half expected it to be made of wood. You are without doubt the worst
audiophile
I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
You're still here. It's over. Go home. Oh, you're expecting a teaser for our next video. Well, we don't have that kind of money. What are you expecting? One of those store reviewers to show up in a saucy little leather number? Go. Oh, I can tell you one thing. We are going to have a collab video. We have no idea what it's going to be. Probably Kryn, maybe Chris, or Joyce. Don't deny it. She's got range. Go. Get out of here. Go.
Go!
Go.
Go on with you!
You're mid, you're mid, you're mid, you're legendary. You're mid, Jaytis out.